Good morning, my name is Lupe Mares, Executive Director with Communities and Schools of Benton-Franklin. I am so excited to have you join me this morning so you can hear more about our mission and the barriers that our students and families face on a daily basis. Now, before we get started, it is important we recognize the land we live and work on today is the traditional occupied territory of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation and the Confederated Tribes and Bands of the Yakama Nation. It is with gratitude we acknowledge their careful stewardship of this land across generations and understand our own responsibility in stewarding this land responsibly. Today, we invite you to learn more as we explore our work through the lens of our staff, our students, families, school staff, and even our national CEO, Ray Saldaña. The global pandemic and national reckonings around race have truly brought to light the systemic inequities our students face, rendering a return to the status quo impossible. You'll learn about the flexibility and adaptations we've been able to make over this past year to address the seemingly unending barriers our students and families have been met with. Most importantly, you'll gain a true understanding of just how remarkable and resilient our students and families have been through it all. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Elizabeth Bertner, our event MC and CISBF Board Chair.
Hello, and welcome to Communities and Schools of Benton-Franklin's 4th Annual Spring in Action Breakfast. My name is Elizabeth Bertner, and I am the CISBF Board Chair and Event MC. I am honored to be here today to share with you the positive impact that CIS has in our schools with students and their families each and every day. I believe that every child deserves the opportunity to succeed in life. As a mom, I know that it takes a village. And this last year has shown us that that village is more important than ever before. Children not only need this village, they deserve that village. CIS and the site coordinators are an integral piece that help our children succeed in life and succeed in school. While we look forward to the day when we can all gather again in person, we are grateful for your presence here this morning. As you will see and hear firsthand throughout this morning's program, your support and generosity will have a huge impact on the future success of our youth. We thank you for taking the time to join us, and most importantly, for being all in for kids. Before we kick off the program, I would like to take a moment to recognize the sponsors who made this event possible. Our senior sponsor, McCurley Integrity Subaru. Our junior sponsors, AmeriGroup, B&B Mechanical Plumbing, Tyson, and Eastside Sustainable Farm. Our sophomore sponsors, and our freshman sponsors. And let's not forget about the original Pancake House, our breakfast sponsor. It is now my pleasure to welcome Evan Bates and Mason McCurley.
This has been a tough year for so many kids in our community. 2020 has presented some new challenges, some new barriers to learning that we've never seen before. And through all of this, we've watched our kids respond with tremendous resilience. Community and Schools has been such a large player in all of this, adapting quickly to individual needs and making sure none of these students gets left behind.
McCurley Integrity Subaru is proud to partner with Communities and Schools in supporting this event. We want to thank all of the staff and coordinators that have supported these amazing students over the past 12 to 15 months. And thank you for all of you joining us this morning to help support this great cause. Enjoy your breakfast.
Thank you, Evan and Mason, both, for your long-standing support of our work and for sharing why you continue to renew this commitment each year. It's hard to fully capture or define the work of Communities and Schools because it encompasses so many types of support. There is no question, however, that our site coordinators are the heart and soul of what we do. They are the caring adults in schools, full-time, walking by students' side to gain a deep understanding of the barriers and challenges they face. Across our affiliates, site coordinators build, strengthen, and maintain relationships with students and their families, connecting them to the right tools and community resources, while empowering them to use them to succeed in school and beyond. Here to share with us what this support looks like at the elementary level are site coordinators Ellie, Stephanie, Patricia, and Chelsea.
Communities in Schools is an opportunity for families and community resources to be put together in a really easy way.
We work inside of the schools to help improve students' academics, attendance, and behavior. And we do this in 3 different levels. The first level is school-wide and providing services to all students the same way. And then in the second level, it's tier 2, and that's more in a personal level, more focused. And then tier 3 is more one-on-one, more intensive services.
So it's connecting the schools to community resources, it's connecting the families to the schools and to the community resources. It's really that in-between person that helps connect all of these different parts and pieces. And, in my opinion, they're all of the pieces that we need to be successful for the most part exist in some capacity in our community, but it's so often not understood of how all of those pieces can work together. And so I really see Communities in Schools as that middleman to help get all of those pieces working together in conjunction with one another.
Families, I think sometimes when there's a lot of stuff going on in life, it's hard to find the things that they need, whether it's, just somebody to talk to their kid or help with things like attendance and basic needs. I mean, all sorts of stuff. When life gets in the way, you don't know where to go, right? And my role is almost like the bridge in between the two. And so I am able to interact with the families and the community partners to help make sure that the family is getting what they need for both them as a family unit and for their students to be successful every day.
I did come from Pasco School District, so a lot of our students and families identify as Latino and speaking Spanish. So being there was more than one person. So when I made my transition to Richmond School District, I feel like something very eye-opening was that our students didn't see someone they identify with. That's how I grew up. I never saw a person who looked like me or who spoke my language or made my mom feel comfortable. Since being 5, I was my mom's own translator. So I feel like being in Richmond School District, we are paving the way for our community to see that we need to be more diverse in our school staff. And I know for now at Lewis and Clark, I'm a very strong advocator. There's been students who now speak Spanish in the cafeteria, have a conversation, and just hearing the, oh, you know Spanish? Like I do too, and they find it super cool. Even our families, we needed someone there.
One particular story that comes to mind is we started our focus on attendance on a tier 1 level for the whole school. And with that, we developed a list of what we call our highest flyers, our highest need for attendance. And we used that list and we divvied it up among a team at our school. And we just started doing daily, every single day, check-ins with those students. We got punch cards, and so every day we get to see their faces and welcome them with a big old smile and thank them for coming to school and make sure that they feel welcome and happy and excited to come to school every day. And actually, it's just happened in the last week. I got to graduate 4 of my kids off of the punch cards because they've shown so much improvement.
At the beginning, when I first started, we had one family that we hadn't heard from, that the students were not participating at all during Zooms. I was able to do a home visit with a counselor and the family was not there, but we were able to leave information in both Spanish and English just in case they needed that. The family eventually did reach out after I did a second home visit and they were there. We were able to set up an attendance meeting, and then through that we were able to figure out that the family was actually going through a crisis, and that's the reason why the mom wasn't so focused in having the kids join the Zoom classes. After that, we were able to connect them to community resources such as the Housing Resource Center to help with their rent assistance, and then since then we've had the kids have great attendance and the family has great communication with the school as well.
In my 2 years doing this job, I have talked with people who live in a 50-mile radius from this school who have told me that they didn't realize there were so many kids who didn't have food on the weekends or were struggling with things like housing and healthcare and all of that stuff because it's just not what we see. And supporting a group like Communities in Schools means that kids succeed, that they complete the school year, they show up to school in general, and you are empowering kids when you support a program like Communities in Schools.
There are so many kids that are capable of so much in this world, and it can take just one or two adults, paying attention to them at the right time in their life, and encouraging them and surrounding them with support and resources, and you can make a huge impact on the rest of their life.
Wow, it is incredible to take a step back and really reflect on the full scope of service a site coordinator is able to provide. Working in partnership with their school support teams, our site staff are able to review, track, and analyze data that allows them to determine appropriate interventions to meet the unique needs of each school we serve. Never has that been more important than in our response to COVID. Now we're going to learn a bit more about how the team at Jefferson Elementary collaborated with then site coordinator Amy Strege to support families through the trials of COVID and school closures, as well as how one parent rose to the challenge.
Hi, my name is Blanca Olivera, and I have 7 children, and I'm thankful for Communities in Schools.
I met Blanca about 6 years ago. I was a new site coordinator at Jefferson, and her girls were in some need of some school supplies, and so it just started as a conversation. And then throughout the years, I built relationships with the kids. We would have lunch, just check in, just being that positive adult. The family was in need of a few things throughout the years and just helping them get the items that they needed and then continue just to provide those supports.
When we were stressing about anything that we needed, it might have been simple, small, or maybe huge to us, they were there for us, and that was amazing for us. They've provided a lot of service with giving us information on how to get links to any supports that we can have in the community, and they've also brought in food out to our home. They've done a lot for us actually, and they've brought in us another hotspot for our internet, and they've always cared about our family and our kids. They've been very supportive to us.
Well, I think the biggest need for her was the internet issue during the pandemic because she had 7 kids and internet only goes so far. So Communities in School was able to get them a hotspot, so they had double internet, and then she could get her kids on.
Communities in Schools is an organization that has an opportunity to have site coordinators in schools to support students and family for future success. So we look at the whole student and look at academic needs, if it's something around attendance, if it's behavior, if it's academic, just looking at whatever those barriers are for students, and then helping those students with their barriers to make sure that they're successful.
Because if they don't have their basic needs met, kids can't really function in school. If they come hungry or they don't have the right clothes on or they're cold, or there's lots of stories I could tell you where the families needed Communities in Schools, either their resources that they have or referrals to other resources in the community.
I think what really sticks out with me with Blanca is not only was she able to come to me when she needed stuff, but she was comfortable enough with our relationship to go to a neighbor and say, you need to call Mrs. Strege. Mrs. Strege can help you with that. Have you asked Mrs. Strege? And just, she would lead people to me that were struggling because we had that connection and had that relationship that she knew I was there to help her.
It's just really nice to know that the community's out there, that we have a school that supports every need that we have and that they're attentive to our needs. If it wasn't for them, I don't know how we would have gone through a lot of things, just because of the fact that they've been very helpful. The food part was very good, and everything that they've done for us has been amazing.
Our mission at CIS is to surround students in a community of support, empowering them to stay in school and achieve in life. Jefferson is a prime example of that work in practice. Thank you, Blanca, Susie, and Amy for sharing your story. We are often asked how our site coordinators work with their school administrators to maximize the support CIS has to offer. Legacy High School Principal Paul Osborne offers this assessment of the collaboration between site coordinator Tyler Ramos and the Legacy High team.
Hello, my name is Paul Osborne, and I am the principal of Legacy High School in Kennewick. Legacy students are some of the most wonderful and interesting people you will ever meet that come from all walks of life, but typically they are in need of some support. Our students need us at our best to give them assistance to overcome whatever obstacles they are facing in life. This is where our partnership with Communities in Schools and Tyler Ramos come into play. Tyler is a wonderful person that has the heart and the passion to help every Legacy student become the best person they can be. During the past year, Tyler has been a huge support to the Legacy family. During COVID, schools have gone through various out-of-building instruction, changing to hybrid models, and finally having students back at school. This whole time, Tyler has been there for our students to identify problems with doing school remotely, as well as transitioning back to full-time learning. Tyler helps students get their Chromebooks from the district office and overcome any remote learning challenges that prevented students from being successful in school. Tyler has also been willing to send out messaging through the Thunder Talk, which is our weekly video announcements, to help students stay connected to what's going on at school. Tyler is also a huge help when engaging students and their families in school to achieve success. Students are constantly seeking him out for individual support for themselves, as well as support for their families. Whether helping a student come up with short and long-term goals or making connections with the family, Tyler provides an opportunity for students to be able to focus on school. When we haven't seen a student for a while at Legacy, Tyler will conduct home visits, bringing food boxes, supplies, and school assignments to help re-engage students. Now, Tyler also provides connections and resources to our students and their families. Legacy students have benefited from Tyler when he sets them up with counseling services, community resources, and assistance with gaining employment. He also helps with immediate needs such as weekend food boxes, hygiene bags, and any one-on-one support that our students may need. The partnership between Legacy and Communities in Schools benefits all of our students. Tyler's willingness to do whatever it takes to help any student creates a culture of support and positivity that spreads to my other staff members. He acts as a role model for our students and creates an encouraging presence that clearly has an effect on our students' well-being. I appreciate everything Tyler brings to our community and look forward to seeing the long-lasting effects he has made with our students. So thank you, Tyler, and thank you, Communities in Schools.
We can't be successful in this work without strong partnership and buy-in from our school administrators. Paul's leadership at Legacy allows our program to thrive and fulfill our commitment to ensuring student success. Chiawana High School senior Dulce is a testament to all that can be achieved when a student is encouraged and empowered to pursue her dreams. Site coordinator Erica Martinez and Dulce join us now to share the culmination of her journey over the past 4 years.
My friend actually introduced me to Erica. I was just following my friend wherever she went, and she ended up taking me to Erica's place.
She's very quiet, very timid, and she's definitely broken out of her shell from the time that we first met.
I built trust with her by talking to her. I was having a really bad day one day. It was over my family, and I actually ended up talking to Erica, and that's how I built trust with them.
It was easy. I just was able to listen to her, and she was able to trust me because I was just an adult that she was able to vent to.
They've helped me with putting me in programs or suggesting some programs. They have a program that's called Girl Circle, and it's just a bunch of girls talking about things that girls go through, and that was one of the programs I actually really liked.
Just allowing Dulce to be herself. She was able to break out of her shell and be more involved. She's involved with sports. She's wrestled. She's playing basketball now. She plays soccer within her community, and she's just a social butterfly.
So when I was a freshman, I was actually very shy, very to myself. I didn't really like talking to anyone. Communities in Schools helped me with socializing more with other people. They supported me whenever I needed someone to talk or just have a conversation with.
The thing that I'm most proud about Dulce is that she's just broken out of her shell and she's no longer timid, even now that she's a first-generation student and getting accepted into Eastern Washington University.
I'm excited to go to college. I got accepted to the college I wanted to go to, which is very exciting for me. I actually got a little emotional, but I didn't really show my emotions. I'm proud of almost everything. Proud of meeting Erica. She was very helpful. Communities and schools was also very helpful. They provided me with items I needed. If I forgot something that I needed for school, they would have the items.
My hopes for Dulce's future are for her to graduate college, to get her college degree, and to be successful in life and be as most independent as she can be.
Actually getting close to her and having a good connection with her. I'm just very thankful she was here for me.
Dulce, we are so proud of you for all you have accomplished and so excited for the future that lies ahead of you. Thank you for allowing us to celebrate you this morning. For more on fulfilling the promise to support each of our students in reaching their fullest potential, we are thrilled to be joined by Ray Saldana, President and CEO of the National CIS Organization.
First of all, let me thank the communities and schools of Benton-Franklin family for inviting me to speak. Muchísimas gracias por la invitación. Me da tanto placer estar con ustedes y tus familias in Benton-Franklin. My name is Ray Saldana, and I am the President and CEO of Communities and Schools National. And that's right, we are a national organization so that the work that is happening in your backyard in Benton-Franklin is very similar to the work that is spreading all across the country because of our partners in schools, policymakers, and funders and donors like you. Our work of placing a trained psych coordinator inside our schools, building a relationship and ensuring our students have everything they need to succeed, it works. And how do I know this? Because I'm a product of Communities in Schools myself. From San Antonio, Texas, I found Communities in Schools like most of our students find Communities in Schools through our psych coordinators working inside schools. For me, that was Mrs. Reyes, where I found someone who I could trust with the issues that I was struggling with. And that's how it usually works for the thousands of students we work with in Benton-Franklin. So when schools closed in March of 2020, Communities in Schools, we didn't stop working. We simply found our way to front yards, porches, we were on telephones, on computer screens, or we were sitting 6 feet apart from each other at apartment stairwells using masks. And it's in these moments, in these difficult times, in your community that CIS staff members are finding out just how good young people can be at hiding their pain. That we oftentimes bottle up or we feel a certain way, and sometimes we hold it until it's too late. There's trauma, there's emotions and anxiety that we carry, and it's not always worn on the outside, but it's uncovered when we feel close enough to share it with those that we trust. It's like our founder, Bill Milliken, said when he began Communities in Schools 44 years ago. It's not programs that change students' lives, it's relationships. That is the game changer. And that's what it was for me. You see, I carried a fear, a shame even growing up. My father, he was undocumented for most of his life and most of mine growing up. He was an undocumented immigrant. And today, instead of shame, I have an incredible pride. Tengo tanto orgullo for the sacrifice that he went through, the dangerous jobs he took for me and my family. But it was a struggle for me as a student to push past the fear that I had for my family because of this reality, to navigate school and life and all of the other challenges that are presented. But one of my proudest moments growing up was helping him study for his citizenship exam and joining him for his naturalization ceremony. It meant so much to me to see him fight so hard to become an American because he believed so much in its promise. And that promise, the way that we equalize opportunity in this country is through education. And before we can get turned on to the learning in school, we need to be turned on to living. And that's what the work is at the center of the work that happens at Communities in Schools with our psych coordinators in schools all across the country, but most specifically in Benton-Franklin. And that's how we make the American dream a reality for our students. So how do we build back to better? How do we create better versions of ourselves as we go into the next school year, thinking about a version that is evolved to make school and the experience of our students that much more that much more exhilarating and exciting for our students. But let me be very clear about our work at Communities in Schools. We are not an organization that saves children or that defines them as victims. We simply assist students in writing their own versions of a success story. CIS of Benton-Franklin is continuing this work from adapting to the diverse needs of our students, to the circumstances of what happens whether we're in school or outside schools. We continue to evolve to make sure that we are meeting the needs for all students. And in that way, we continue to be all in for kids.
Ray, we are so grateful to you for sharing your story and representing the power of relationships and helping students achieve success. The fact that our national organization is led by an alumnus of the program is an inspiration to us all, and we are beyond proud to carry this work forward under your leadership. As Ray mentions in his closing remarks, CIS is not an organization that saves children or defines them as victims. We listen, walk alongside, advocate for, and empower our students to ensure they have access to the necessary tools and opportunities to write their own success stories. Prosser High School junior Andy and his site coordinator, Erica Alvarez, join us next to share how he has leveraged her support to overcome the obstacles he has faced.
When we first came to meet, I was with a group of students to help her pack up some food for other students. And it was a really great interaction with her. It was just a really great time to be able to help other kids out because I know that sometimes as a students we struggle a lot.
So he was here for about 2 hours, and when we first met, we always had a discussion with every student that helped us out to really let them know that this isn't just you're packing food. I wanted them to be aware that they were doing something for other students.
For me to be able to help other students in their times of struggle, it was really great for me to do that and to make, just to be able to help them out.
One of the things that I think was very memorable for me was that Andy mentioned, I want to be somebody. I want to graduate. For me, that made a huge difference because when someone tells you that, that means that they're thinking about their future. But I knew that he struggled on how do you put that together. And as we started working together, I think he quickly realized that he can come to me when he needed something. And I was happy that he was able to come to me and see me as a support within the school district.
I instantly connected with her, and she's such a great person, and she has helped me so much, and I couldn't be where I'm at without her. And she's helped me navigate through so much of the stuff that I've gone through in my life. And you know, it's amazing for me, and I'm thankful and grateful to have a person like that to support me through all the problems that I've been through.
I was actually very honored that Andy came to see me because after we had that event, I was honored that Andy trusted me to come to me and ask me for support. He was going through a very difficult time at the moment, and he was needing support with being able to channel his emotions. So one of the things that I was able to do is show him that it's not just me that's here to support him. I always like to think of our school district as a team. So we have our principal, we have the school secretary, we have the staff. We also have our community members and also bring in the parents. So that was one thing that I did do is when he was having a difficult time, I was able to speak to all of his teachers and say, hey, if you see him struggling with something, send them to me. He is going through a difficult time, and as well as letting the office know.
My first impressions were, it was awesome, really, because you know, they're always there for you, even like just to anything in life. You know, if you need food, you just contact them and they'll be there for you, and they'll get you your food or school supplies or just anyone to talk to. They're always there for you, and I think it's really awesome to have that support. Also, it was kind of a struggle for my parents having to really get money to get food and stuff like that to provide for me and my siblings. And what CIS did a lot was they helped my parents with that. They helped them with food or any type of help. They helped my parents out, and I'm really thankful and grateful for that.
I'm excited to see Andy graduate. And I go back to the very first thing that he said, I don't want to be a nobody, I want to graduate. And now I see him and I'm like, you're gonna graduate. And I keep telling him, be excited about this. This is a huge step.
I'm just excited for how it's gonna go, really. Just the process on what I'm gonna be able to be doing after high school. It's really exciting for me. And just to find what I'm most passionate about, really.
Amazing. I think I speak for all of us, Andy, when I say you are a true inspiration, an incredible example of all that is possible when we truly see and value a young person for exactly who they are and what they have to offer. Your future is so bright, and we are excited to see where your journey takes you. CISBF board member and former Richland and Pasco Assistant Superintendent Eric Bowles is the embodiment of a champion for youth. He advocated fiercely for years to bring CIS to Benton-Franklin counties, finally seeing it come to fruition in 2014. And now Eric joins us to share the impact of CISBF.
Good morning, my name is Eric Bowles, and I'm proud to serve on the board for the Communities and Schools of Benton-Franklin County. Recently, I retired as Assistant Superintendent of Pasco School District, and I've been involved with Communities and Schools since its inception in our area in 2014. What led me to be interested in Communities and Schools was receiving a phone call from a principal in 2012, and the principal shared with me that we had a child who had been removed from school for a dress code violation. And on the way out the door, the child divulged that she wasn't really trying to be defiant. She just didn't have any clothes other than the clothes that she had on her back when she and her sisters and their mother had escaped a dangerous domestic violence situation literally the night before. The principal called me for help, and in reality, I really wasn't much help. But we did what we could to help the family, reached out to a number of community agencies, were able to be supportive, but it really got me thinking, this happens 10, if not 100 times every day across our Mid-Columbia region, where we have families and children on the margins who are desperately in need of help. And school officials know exactly what help is needed. Teachers know, counselors know, principals know. But the bottom line is we run out of time at the end of our busy school days, and we're not professionals dispensed to find those resources. So we were very excited to find a partnership with Communities and Schools and begin embedding Communities and Schools site coordinators across our schools, now way more than 20 in our region, in 4 school districts and soon to be 5 this next year. I want to talk just a little bit about the impact that our Communities and Schools site coordinators had in partnership with our school personnel during the initial part of the COVID pandemic. We learned that we had families that were food insecure, that didn't have transportation, that had loved ones who were sick and couldn't tend to their children. And Communities and Schools stepped in and helped with all of those issues, helped families with internet connectivity, and really became that glue that bound families to schools and help families get the resources that they need in communities. Communities and Schools does an absolutely wonderful job across our region doing this work, and it's a program that really provides a hand up, not a handout, helping families really correct the situation that they're in so that as they move forward with their lives, they have the opportunity to be more prosperous, healthier, and are able to provide better opportunities for their children. Communities and Schools is an investment. We know, based on their research, that for every dollar that we invest in Communities and Schools, a child impacted by Communities and Schools services returns $11 for every dollar invested over the course of their lifetime. So today, more than an ask, what we're really asking you for is to invest in this wonderful program that helps so many of our families and so many of our children change their lives for the better across the Mid-Columbia region in partnership with the local school districts. So please join me in giving what you can to invest in this worthwhile program. Our children who need us are worth the benefit.
Thank you all for joining us this morning. We are grateful for the opportunity to share our work and for your continued support. In closing, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors one final time and wish you a wonderful rest of your day.